Hi guys, it's Raven Scry, and so the craziness continues here in Victoria. Australia, we've had crazy protests going on. We've got the continued vax lockdown situation taking place. And this morning when I was sitting on the couch just preparing for my day, suddenly the whole house started shaking and didn't stop, and I was getting a little concerned. I'm like, what's going on here? And I got up and moved, and the whole house was fully shaking. And my instinct was, strangely enough, to run outside and stand on the dirt, stand on the earth with my bare feet and just stand there in silence. And then it subsided. But I realised then that we had a magnitude 6 on the Richter scale earthquake this morning here, and it was felt all throughout Victoria and into some of the other states. I think there was also a couple of other earthquakes that also happened within the same time period. So it's just certainly been very crazy, and apparently we're being warned of some aftershocks. So hopefully that's nothing to worry about too much, but it's just certainly one thing after the next, and it almost feels like Victoria is the target of this, which is interesting as someone who lives here and can't seem to move out of Victoria. And so it's certainly very strange times in my whole life. It's certainly getting to that time of feeling like this has been the strangest part so far of my whole existence. And I'm sure many of you relate. And I also feel like this is only just the beginning of what's to come. Now, in saying all of that, you know, all of this is what's going on is bringing about so much fear in the collective, in the community. And I want to say too, connected into crypto, connected into the markets at the moment, there's so much fear going on about Evergrande and, you know, everything collapsing, but everything being bullish. And it's like this duality that's existing. And it's so easy to be swept into this fear, freak out mode that's like, oh my God, the end of the world. Because there's certainly huge things being brought up, you know, like life or death feelings. But it's so important in all of this just to realise that we don't have to go into that freak out. We can just bring ourselves back into our bodies and breathe for a moment and realise that we're able to relax here, and we are living in extreme times, but we don't have to let the storm swallow us up. We can get centered, stay centered, keep breathing, because that's not going to support us in any way if we go into what happens if this happens, and, you know, it all spirals out of control. So we really need to bring our energy back in and, okay, note what's going on around us, but just accept, I guess, and be gentle and take care of ourselves. So today, given the circumstance here in Victoria of the earthquake, and it feels as though everything's pointing here at the moment. So I'm going to bring my presence into this state, into Victoria here. And from this, I'm going to lift out and view Victoria and give anything that Spirit's wanting to talk about in relation to why we're going through so much here and its connection with the rest of the world. So I feel as though Victoria is the entry point and the place I'm going to start. And we're just going to open to Spirit and see what they want to show here. So as I connect into Victoria and the energy and the terrain of the earth here, and I gently lift and move above, move up higher and higher. And as I do, the frequencies are changing and shifting. So now I look down onto Earth and I notice that Victoria is a different shade of colour. Now my attention is being brought to Victoria as I lift up higher and as I connect with Spirit and I ask them, what's to be shown here? What's to be understood from what's taking place here in Victoria? A lot of eyes being on Victoria, Australia at this time with all the mayhem that's going on. Now, as Spirit comes closer, they're showing me like tentacles almost out of Victoria across the land and across the grid lines. Although it's not directly correlated in grid, it's like it moves out and it links up. It's like it's travelling out further and further. And as I deepen into this experience, I feel Spirit coming close, wanting to speak. And as they do, they talk about the time has come, much mayhem coming, big change, and more coming soon. Now, it's interesting because I know a while back they kept talking about the change, wait for the change, and this was in connection to crypto as well. So I feel as though we're entering into this change. They're speaking of this change. Now, they also talk about many will have access to heightened awareness, and it's coming to many. And it's like they show this to me like people are going to have a switch that just turns on, and then suddenly it's like there's all this new awareness. Things are going to seem different, be perceived differently. And for some it will seem like it's just been switched on. So we are really reaching a very important moment in this timeline on Earth. So as I deepen in more to what they're wanting to share, they're talking about letting go of troubles and old ways. And they're also referring to the importance of not getting caught up in the fear of this change, because it's like we're moving through the storm. And so there's a great importance to stay centered, to stay in a place of peace and groundedness, because if we don't, we can get pulled into the storm and it's like it will get carried away with itself. So they really bring my attention back into the importance of this, and it's like we're awakening into a new world, and this new world feels so different, and the way it feels is like a dream, a picture that you'd walk into. It certainly doesn't feel like Earth, or the Earth as we know it up until now anyway. So I hear we're so close now, but it's like some are not even going to feel it, or some are not going to recognize this change. It's almost like the way that I see it is like a visual, like a mirage of this new place. And for some people, it will be very clear, but it's like some people will just look straight past it. It's like they won't recognize what's right there. But for those who do recognize, it's going to be a powerful, magical change that's coming in. And it's like a very different Earth. It's a very different existence. And I want to say it's like they're existing at the same time, but there is this change that we're approaching. And it's very magical and very refined in the way it feels. And it feels like there's so much wild, chaotic energy. And this is somewhat being created because it's a distraction. There is this distraction that is coming through from external forces also that doesn't want to see this new Earth, this new change. And I want to say there's so many different energies at play, but some of them don't have this new way in mind. They don't want to see us move toward this because it will threaten a lot of things. It will threaten a lot of existences and the prior ways that things have been done, things have been held together. So through all this chaotic energy, it's like a big distraction. But if we can center and become clear within ourselves, we will see this change, and it's going to be so clear when it comes. And it's in the stillness that you will see it and find it, and it will be presented. And this is the change that Spirit keeps talking about. And from here, there's going to be some amazing things that open up from this. But until then, we're moving through the storm, and we must stay centered in the storm. And through all this, I feel like Victoria is one place that's shaking it up. And today, if I hadn't have been shook the way I was in the earthquake, and this continual process that I'm going through in this current time, I wouldn't necessarily be called to connect to spirit and connect to what's taking place and what they've shared in this video. So it's all interconnected and it's all playing out as it should, although sometimes it seems a bit rough where we're at. Just keep the faith, keep centered, and remembering the divine self, which is you. Now, it's interesting because as I keep getting this vision of this new earth, this new world, this picture, it's like I see people stepping forward, but all holding hands. It's like stepping forward into the new. And I want to say too, it reminds me of, or it's taking me back to crypto and the power of crypto and the light and abundance it can bring and what it will have to offer for building the new way, the new earth. So I feel as though this is like crypto in its divinity, which I did feel from the start, but then it gets so easily lost in the craziness of where we currently are with everything. But I do see this glimpse of the new earth, and within that, the abundance that crypto offers there. So when Spirit talks about the change, I feel as though we're close. We're close to the change now. Okay, guys, I'm going to thank Spirit and leave it there for this reading. If you're enjoying these videos, please give a like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot to support the channel. And share them if you feel someone in particular would resonate. Please pass them along. Okay, guys, take care. I'll see you again soon. Raven Scry signing off.